Sat Shri Akal, once again Sirka Sardar at your service. Today I have come out with some different topic which might interest you and make you feel happy and even you may say, what is this Sardarji doing? Anyway, now what I was trying to tell you that the language which we speak normally varies from one state to another. Even I've seen that a state like UP, the way the Hindi is spoken from the western to the eastern, it becomes very different. Similarly, from north to south, if you see the Hindi dialect also gets changes, and there are many words which are being used normally, but when they are uttered in another state, they really create a problem for you. And I've been a victim of this. But since I've been traveling a lot, firstly because my dad in the army, and army people get transferred every 3 years, 4 years. But luckily, I was there for about 8, 10 years in Bombay, Pune, and my background was a little different from other guys who were frequently transferred after 2 or 3 years. Now, in that sense, I learned Marathi up to 6th standard, and people are surprised at Sardarji talking Marathi and the way there. But my schooling background there. Anyway, my dad was transferred in 1958 to Punjab, and because he had a posting in J&K, and he couldn't take his family, so we had to move to Amritsar, where my grandfather had built a house for all of us, and we stayed there. Now, the problem was the schooling there. Since I was from the convent school and my brother, we were studying there in Bombay, Pune. In Amritsar, there was one good school called St. Francis. But the fees was too high, and my dad said, look, I can only afford one child to study there. I said, okay, you send the younger one. And he went to the school there, St. Francis there, yeah. And I had to opt for a school where my uncle was studying, and that was Balmukand Khatri High School, known as BK High School, Ki Mandi, Amritsar. Now, I was the only guy who was from the background, like the English background and others thing, and I was an odd person there. The first very thing, I got a name which I called, Oi dekh oi, oh Englishman ja rahi. The English language not very common in Punjab that time. People, I think, probably the government didn't develop this language as a secondary or tertiary language. So I was a little bit odd. Now the incidents I want to bring forward to you is a very interesting one, is the use of words, In Bombay, the word sala is very common. Abhe sale khaan jata hai. Abhe sale ruk, main bhi aata hun. So people don't mind, even sometimes a slip of tongue, they call their uncle also sala and all that. I think it's normal routine there. Now, when I went to Amritsar, the first thing was when I picked up a fight with two guys, my co-students there only. And during my fight or giving them blows or something like that, I must have used the word Abhe Sale, Abhe Sale. So one of the Sardars, he jumped, he said, Oi, 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 ye gali nikal raha hai. मैं कौन साला गाली निकाल रहा है? Look, you mind my language. कौन साला गाली निकाल रहा है? कह रहा देख गाल कड़ी. And they made a hue and cry, and all people gathered around me. Then I stopped. I said, "What is it?" कहते सरदार जी आप कहाँ से आए? मैं कहा बॉम्बे पूना से आए. कहते यहाँ ना साला नहीं बोलना, किसी को साला बोलोगे सरदार लोग यहाँ मार देते हैं. I don't know whether it's true or wrong, but I accepted it. So this was one of the very good episodes I remember. The second episode which comes to my mind is Dad was transferred to Srinagar proper, so that was a family station, so he could take us. So my brother, because studying in convent school, he was there with my grandfather, but I left for my say mother's side, I would say maternal side of my parents. So there, Dad stayed for 6 months with us, and he was again transferred to Jammu. So I had to stay, and luckily I got admission in SV College, Srinagar proper, where I did my inter science there. And again, in a new atmosphere, all my J&K, a lot of Muslim friends, and the Kashmiri Sikhs are also very different, yeah. And I was the only black Sikh among them. They were all Goras. The Kashmiri Sikhs are really Gora. And when I used to stand, Kala Sikh khada hai. So they used to be Kala Sikh. I said, okay, welcome. But among the 896, I was a little outstanding there. And anyway, I didn't take much part in the school activities because the trouble is, wherever the education is free, people don't take it seriously. In J&K, the education was free. Literally, in the college also, no money to be paid. All paid by the government. Probably government of India was sharing the burden. And the professors, teachers used to likely, whenever you want, you go to class, and whenever you don't want, you walk away. So there, what happened in Kashmir, there was one of my professors, he was bald, and in Kashmiri they call taklu. So we had a laboratory outside the premises of the college gate, and I saw the guy going on a cycle towards the laboratory. So when I came back, and then I was just in the ground, and it was 11 o'clock and the period was to start. So I said, look, probably I don't see my colleague, what are they? So I went to the classroom running, and there I saw that Taklu was taking a class, chemistry class. So now look at the scene. You can just imagine how, how the scene was. When I went inside, so what happened? The professor, "Tum late ho." No, he said, "Ab late aaye." Now my version is, सर मैंने तुमको कॉलेज के बाहर जाते देखा तो मैं समझा तुम इधर नहीं आएगा, इसलिए मैं क्लास में नहीं आया। तो कहता बड़े बदतमीज़, आप बैठ जाइए। I thought he has rebuked me because my saying was not conducive for him, or he didn't like it. So I sat down. Next day I was standing in the corridor and he's walking with the professor and he pointed at my finger. कहता ये सरदार बड़ा बदतमीज़ है, ये तुम बोलता है। Then I realized, my good Lord, the word tum, which is very common in southern part like Bombay, Pune and all that, is considered very bad in J&K. I said, what is the word to be used? They say hajur, janab. So these are the words. This was a typical thing, which I experienced. Anyway, the third experience was when I was in a profession. I was a medical rep and going around I was traveling a train and my bag usually carries samples and all that. So policeman comes and he says, बैग खोलो। मैंने खोल दिया। मैं कहा कुछ नहीं यार, इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है। कह रहा तमीज़ से बोलो। मैं कहा यार बता रहा हूँ तो इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है, खाली दवाई के लिए। तो देन अनदर मैन सेड, सर ये आप यार बोलते हैं ना, ये यार यूपी में नहीं चलता है। मैं कहा पंजाब में तो सब यार बोलते हैं, और यार की गाल सुन। तो I was put in a compliment, and the policeman was really angry. If it would have been some other policeman, he would have put me at the bar. But anyway, I just said, okay, I'm sorry, I was not knowing. So these a couple of incidents in my life. I just keep on telling people, but then I didn't have a medium to communicate to all of my people who might have studied in St. Vincent, St. Ornelas, Pune, or they might have studied in BK High School, or they might have studied in SP College. If they're there, of course, they can check my name and we can have a relation. That is something different, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you, that this world is very peculiar. You have to be very careful. Of course, there are some words which are very bad, which I would not like to utter here, because in some part that's a good word, but when you take it to the south, it's a bad word. Anyway, so this is what I was trying to tell you about the language issues and all that. Though the common linking language for the world is English, but I do not know why we are shy away from English. It's that a language which can bind the whole world is English, of course. Of course, now other languages are coming up, but then I would say, so now Punjab is waking up and there are people who are much more better qualified, much more better. So this aspect of the language barriers, this has to be broken if we want unity among diversity. So I would suggest that some things should come up. Okay, this is enough for today, and I'll join you in my next video. I hope you like some of these issues, because these are not related to show-offs. I will have some show-offs also, but I don't like to show off. I like to share my experience, and probably some of my young friends and others, they will get that the unity, the happiness lies in unity, not in having enemies and foes and the factors like jealousy and other things. These, you have got to be above them. If you want to lead a good life, you have to absorb so many, you have to be a shock absorber. Okay, bye. Till next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.